a car. Just gonna be a veterinarian too.
And I'm gonna always love you.
Well, she's gonna be a singer. Wow, wow, wow.
And she's gonna learn to fly a plane.
She'll be a doctor of diseases and help you with your sneezes.
And practice neurosurgery on your brain. Gonna climb the Matterhorn, but only after all our children are born. 'Cause I wanna be a good mommy too, and I'm gonna always love you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gootz's Disney Pod. I'm your host, Ray Gootz. We're continuing with the Muppets, and we're on the Muppets Take Manhattan. And joining me is longtime friend, first-time guest, Bill Boronkay. Is it Boronkay?
That's how good friends we are. It's Boronkay, but close enough.
Boronkay. When Lori Palmentary said it last week, I was like, that's how you say it?
Lori and I only worked together once. She was hysterical, so I wouldn't expect her to remember, but it was awesome.
She's awesome. She was guest last week. Bill, how are you, man? How's it going?
I'm doing well. My first question was, did you choose me for this because I have been told I look like a Muppet?
No,
because that is actually true.
I wanted, I always try to match guests with movies. So that's why I didn't ask you to do Little Mermaid or Frozen.
Yeah, it's totally in my wheelhouse.
And I figured you were probably a fan of the Muppets when you were younger. Am I right or am I wrong?
You are right. And I think because I'm much older than you, but I remember early memories is the original Muppet Show. I will remember some, and what I remember is they had every guest, man. And I remember watching with Alice Cooper on, which blew me away. Raquel Welch, everyone wanted to do the Muppets.
Yeah, I was saying this in the last two episodes because I met Richard Pryor is in the first movie, Joan Rivers is in this, and you mentioned Alice Cooper. The great thing about growing up with the Muppets is they kind of made everyone accessible. And I mean by that is I grew up thinking Richard Pryor was a children's performer. I thought he was an all ages guy until I hit around 9 or 10 because I always saw him in Muppets.
Please tell me you brought live in concert to show and tell as a kid.
No, I didn't see that till I was 11 or 12, but I did think he was a guy who primarily was an actor who worked mainly with children because he also had, I don't know if you remember, he had a Saturday morning show on CBS with Muppets.
No, I don't remember that.
You don't?
No.
Oh, YouTube that. Paul Newman and some other comedians are on it, and it's very weird. It's it'd be the equivalent today of Aaron Berg and Andrew Schultz doing a kids show on Nickelodeon. Hey, but being hey kids, let's learn about diversity. You know what I mean? It's bizarre.
Oh, I think you just stumbled onto something new, even though we're ripping off an old idea. I think, it's time to get Schultz and Berg into the kids.
And puppets. I know a girl who's big in the puppets. She's does shows in Chicago. So we'll get her on. We're gonna make this happen. Berg's place.
See, this is it. Forget about the movies. We're creating new revenue streams here.
Creating new revenues. I'll be hey, Aaron Berg, do you like puppets? Do you like kids?
You'll come up with a cool idea, and then Disney will steal it from you.
Disney will steal. They'll give it to Chris D'Elia because he's a big fan of kids. So sorry.
Oh, look at you! Hey, do we have to say nice things about Disney?
No.
Okay, because I got to tell you, overall Disney, I've always thought they were incredibly overrated. Just going back to the basics of cartoons.
Yeah.
Because I'm is there a less funny duck than Donald? Yet
you don't like Donald?
Come on, duck to duck, Daffy dusts him.
Daffy is much better.
Daffy got a raw deal, man, because Bugs was always the star, and it's come on, man, Daffy is so much funnier. I think Bugs just had better PR.
Well, you know what? I did. I was listening to a podcast about Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and everyone's it's still mind-boggling to me that they allowed Porky, Daffy, and Bugs in that Disney movie. Because that would never happen nowadays. You wouldn't see Bugs Bunny in Frozen 3. And apparently Warner Brothers thought that the Looney Tunes were these old, useless characters back then that nobody wanted to see. Yeah, so when Disney asked, can they be in the movie? They were yeah, who cares? Take them. It's publicity for us. Not knowing that people were going to their minds were going to explode to see Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse on screen together because they really thought nobody gives a shit. about these guys. I just so that's you're right. They had horrible publicity. You know,
We could go through great bad decisions in history, like
Yeah.
Blockbuster blowing off Netflix.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because Warner Brothers with Looney Tunes and DC Comics, not to go on a tangent, they have such a gold mine. They've never really known how to properly use those characters. I mean, they literally just save the Looney Tunes now for basketball movies, which to me is like, imagine telling somebody that in 1952. Like, you're only going to see these characters with basketball movies. What are you talking about?
I mean, Taz will do some awesome dunks, but that's really the only place you'll get it.
So, Bill, let's get to know you before we jump into the movie. How long have you been doing comedy, buddy?
It's funny because everyone has their first date of when they did it, and mine was 2006, where I took a workshop, and it was one of those: if this goes great, I'm going to do it again. If it goes bad, well, I finally kicked it off the bucket list. And in my mind, it went great. Looking back at the video, it did not. But so then the process for a lot of us. You start and you're doing like, oh, I did, I got on stage twice this month, I'm killing it. And then eventually you realize, oh man, this is actually work. And probably went full time. I was fortunate. I had a job that I basically said, hey, I'm gonna leave. And they're like, what are you gonna do for insurance? I'm like, well, I'll have to get it. And they're like, well, if you work for us 24 hours, we can keep you on ours. Or 24 hours a week. So I worked Monday through Wednesday at this place 9 to 5. They even cut off my evenings, and then started going more full-time stand-up. And then finally it was like, I just got to go full-time. So loaded up the bus and moved to North Jersey to go full-time 2015 or 16, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's when I met you. Mark Riccadonna brought you by.
That's right. He was the one that was like, you got to move to New York. You got to move to New York. And then he moved to Philly. I'm like, thanks, dude.
You were a newscaster, right? Or sportscaster?
I was a sportscaster. Yeah. And that was one of my excuses for not doing stand-up, even though I was always jealous of comedians, is, oh, I've got a good career, and credibility, whatever, which is kind of comical when you look at it now. And that was going really well. And then the wheels fell off, and then I was, kept trying to get back on track, didn't, and finally, and I had a cool job, but finally I was like, let's do this, see what happens. Yeah. So well, you're very funny comic. So I'm glad that. Oh, well, thank you. Had I gotten the ESPN job, I wouldn't have had a chance to review the Muppets, Take Manhattan. See,
yeah, right now you'd be talking about like the MLB season with Steven Smith or whatever. Did you really want? Who wants that?
Who needs all that?
Who needs that?
What's free makeup?
You'd be the new Skippy. You'd be on Barstool Sports. Who? Fuck them. I say.
Yeah, I would have been fired eventually. So.
Well, you might have landed at Barstool Sports because they're kind of like rape is cool. Here's the sports scores.
Well, that totally captures my essence, Ray. Thanks.
Rape. Isn't that how the old newscast used to start? Rape is great. Anyway, the Mets lost. That's what that to me. I don't watch a lot of Barstool Sports. But every time I see a clip, that's what it feels like. It just feels like a bunch of dude bros be like, "Fuck women." Anyway, Patriots, they won.
Honestly, now you make me want to check out Barstool Sports because I haven't watched it either.
Yeah, it's a lot of dude bro shit. But were you into the Muppets when you actually? I already answered this question. What am I doing?
Yeah, totally loved them. And I got to tell you, I was a little disappointed. I think it was it 2016 they brought the show back. Yeah, they brought the show back as kind of like an Office version. I have not seen that. I loved it. And
the new one.
My girlfriend and I were watching, and it basically, they listed it as 2 seasons, but it was basically 1 season and they canceled it. It was basically Piggy was the star of a late night show. And Kermit was the producer, and all the, and they had Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem as a house band and all that stuff. And I thought it was really well done, really clever. I was surprised it didn't make it. Yeah. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm surprised because a lot of good stuff doesn't make it, but I loved it.
But I'm just surprised, like, the Muppets, when you announced there's going to be a new Muppet show on ABC, that doesn't just get the highest ratings. To me, that should be like the crown jewel. And I kind of feel like Disney treats the Muppets like second-class citizens. Like, yeah, we make money off these guys, but they're not going to ever, replace Pixar or, anything like that. Like, so they just kind of every now and then trot them out, and they're like, all right, they're out there now. We're gonna put them back in the mothballs. You know, we told you here's the once a year. Okay, here's the Muppets. Yeah, you like it? Great. Here you go. You know.
Are you implying that there would be anything nefarious about Disney? Come on. And the other thing is, the show got really, from what I remember, and I was actually looking at like this, I read a couple of reviews. The critics loved it,
Yeah,
which again doesn't mean anything.
I'm going to say something weird. I think they don't really want to use the Muppets, but I think there's something where if they don't use them enough, someone else can buy them. So I think they just trot them out every now and then to keep the rights. That's what I think is going on right now.
And it's kind of weird from what I read. I was trying to learn more about it because Henson was going to sell them. He was in negotiation with Disney in '89, and then he died.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything got pushed back to when they bought him, more recently. When was that? I actually
it was in the 90s, because the next movie that I'm covering that comes out in '92, and that's a Disney.
Okay. So, but from what I understand, his kids still retain a lot of control. I don't know how it balances for how much Disney owns versus how much they still control.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's probably why they don't do a lot. They're waiting for these kids to drop dead so they can do whatever they want to do with them. You know,
Mickey's in the long game.
Mickey's in the long game. He's like, you got control now. But well, I remember like Marvel, when they bought Marvel Disney, they didn't have the rights to the X-Men because Fox had the rights. And I remember all of a sudden they kind of stopped making so many X-Men comics. And X-Men, I don't know, did you like comics ever or no?
When I was a kid, I was into them, and then I kind of weaned off. Okay. And I've seen some of the movies, but I haven't really followed like on and on and on.
Well, in the 80s and the 90s, the X-Men comics outsold everything, like everything. Like, like they were getting like 50 million copies a month. And Disney started shelving the X-Men. And people were like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And I'm like, listen, if Disney can't make money off something, no matter how popular it is, it will shelve it and let it be forgotten until they can make money off it. And that's what they did. The X-Men aren't as popular as they were because Disney, so they're really into the long game. You know what I mean? If they can't make money off something or the amount of money they want, they will just hide that property until they find and make you forget about it. So you don't even want it, And I think that's what they're doing more or less with the Muppets. Until when these kids die, then they're going to go full blast with the Muppets.
Well, you do realize that the death of my TV career, I pretty much blame on Disney.
Oh yeah, what happened?
Because I interviewed at ESPN, and then they had a hiring freeze, whatever, and Disney bought them, and so I totally blame Disney for me not getting the gig. It's not really what happened, but I feel better about it.
No, I think you can. Look what's happening with Discovery and Warner Media. I mean, they just canceled all the scripted shows on TNT, TBS. That means no more Last OG with Tracy Morgan and Mark Theobald.
Oh, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, they canceled all the scripted shows. They canned CNN Plus. A lot of people lost their jobs, and this is just in the first 2 weeks. So whenever things like this happen, so there may be another Bill Boronkay. How do you say it again? The last name?
Boronkay. But I'll go with Boronkay. Yeah.
There might be another Bill Boronkay about to be born through this Discovery merger with Warner Brothers. Be like, fuck you, Discovery. I'll show you. Where's Mark Madonna?
Like, he left. Like, there's something wrong with monopolies.
Yeah,
conglomerates.
Really
is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because now, like, if you had a show. Let's say Disney rejected the show and Paramount rejected the show. You're like, all right, TBS likes it. And now Discovery took over and is like, fuck your show. Where are you going to take it? You're fucked.
I'm going to load up all my friends and I'm going to go to New York, to Manhattan, and hit up every producer and barge in the door and just start singing the first song from the show. That's what I learned.
That's how it used to work. So Muppets Take Manhattan. Have you seen this movie before?
I'd forgotten that I'd seen it before. And as soon as I started watching, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember.
I saw this in the theater when I was 3 years old. I think it was my second or third movie that I ever saw. I remember this is my first real memory of the movie theater because I remember the trailer for Teen Wolf 2 was shown before this movie, which was
You were 3 and you remember this?
yes, I remember like
Wow.
the parking and everything. I don't remember a lot of the specifics of this movie because I remember there being a lot more humans than there were. Like I thought there was like a whole main cast of humans, but no, there's only like really like 2 main humans in the movie.
Right.
What did you think now watching it all these years later?
I was a little less impressed than I was back then. I appreciate Dabney Coleman so much more than I did as a kid.
Yeah, he's great.
I love the fact that, all right, so when he's going out, are we supposed to get into this yet?
Yeah, we can start talking about the movie. Yeah.
All right. When he's, when the cops come in and he's in trouble, so he grabs Camille the chicken by the neck and Beaker by the beak. All right.
No, Gonzo.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Beaker doesn't make an appearance till the very end, and he's just in the
Beaker
background.
doesn't have a
It's very
nose,
disappointing.
So if you want to grab Beaker
anyway,
by his nose.
all right. So he's got Gonzo and Camille, right? And he's got him by the beak, so Gonzo can't do anything, and he's got Camille by the neck, right? So you got a chicken by the neck. You're pretty much in control, right?
Yeah.
So he backs out in the hallway, and then later, after Animal's like, and Animal really blows it on this one too. But anyway, he's out there wrestling with him, and somehow the chicken's got him by the ear. He got his beak up. Now, the only way the chicken can do that is if Dabney Coleman raises the chick. Why would you do this? No wonder like Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton and Jane Fonda were able to tie this guy up. Horrible self-defense for a tough guy.
He's not a very good boss. He talks good game, but he can't back it up.
Yeah, he's a total fake bully, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's amazing, now we don't know a whole lot about Animal, which is part of the mystique of him, which is why he's such a lovable character for hardly saying anything. But when Dabney Coleman starts making when Dabney Coleman first grabs Gonzo, Animal is either next to or right behind Kermit. And you see him move just a little. It's very subtle. All of a sudden, he's on top of the doorway. Now, I don't know what kind of skills this guy has, but it's a split second. How did he get up there?
He's a wild man. He can jump.
That's it.
He's like Wolverine. He's got like superhuman powers.
Well, and the other thing, and again, I'm a huge Animal fan. But then Dabney Coleman's backing out the doorway, or he's going to the doorway, and Animal's on top saying bad man, but he doesn't jump on top of him. He waits till he gets out in the hallway and grabs his legs.
Yes, that's true.
That's
Animal.
horrible.
This is before Animal took MMA training. Now he's
I was going to say, how did he ever nail the Geico commercials with like thought process like this?
I don't know. This was when Animal was. I mean, Animal also had a cancelable moment. I mean, I don't know if he was sexually harassing that woman at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
And
starting the movie, I mean, it's not right away, but it's pretty close. Like, oh, look, Animal's chasing a woman, yelling woman down the thing. And then everyone's shocked for a second. Nobody does anything, which is very New York, prepares them for New York. And then people laugh. I'm like, different.
That was probably just going to get raped by a puppet. Anyway.
Oh, jeez.
That's how it is here. Where were they in Pennsylvania? Were they in Pennsylvania when the movie started?
Was it ever established where they went to school?
No.
Because that was like their graduation. It was their senior thing. Because when they first said senior, I'm like, oh, I thought this was like a nursing home. And I'm like, well, the crowd's awful young for this. It's like, oh, no, it was school.
It was a very supportive college, though, because the whole student body was there to see them all.
And the other thing that was amazing, when they would cut to the crowd going nuts, you'd hear whistling. You didn't see anyone whistle.
No,
everyone was like clapping and yelling, and somehow someone's throwing a whistle.
That was Bill Cosby in the back. He was talking to a student.
Hey, the other thing that's very disappointing, and you see it later in the movie when they're walking in New York too, but also, isn't it just kind of disappointing when you see the bottom half of a Muppet?
Yeah, I don't like seeing that. That to me, I'll never go see Avenue Q because I don't want to see the humans running around. I don't want to see the humans. Whenever they had the poster with the person, I'm like, no. And I'm sorry. The puppeteers always look like the biggest fucking creeps on the planet. Like it's never like, oh, I want to hang out with that person. It's like, this is who's controlling the Muppets. Like, I don't want to see you. Like, no, I want the.
So you're gonna take shots at Jim Henson after he's passed?
No, not Jim Henson. From the people in the posters of Avenue Q. They just look like a bunch of yeah. I don't want to see them. Just hide. You know, I don't like about Avenue Q. But I really don't like about them. Gary Coleman. They had a Gary Coleman puppet. And they asked him to come. They asked him to come and like be in the play once or twice. He was like, "No, I don't like this play, and I really don't like the fact that you made me a Muppet. It's bullshit. I hate this." Da da da. And they basically didn't apologize. They went, "Fuck you, Gary Coleman." And then he died. Right? He dies. And the night after he dies, like, we dedicate the performance to Gary Coleman, even though he didn't like this. We really wanted it. And they keep using I think there's still a Gary Coleman puppet, and it's like. The guy didn't like it. He died horribly. Like, can you just change it to Webster? Like, what the fuck, man? To the Beeve?
What was it? Emmanuel Lewis, Gary Coleman. What's the difference? Is that your thought?
Yeah, it's like the guy didn't like it. Let me tell you why they won't change. Jerry Mathers, that's the guy who will show up with a baseball bat. I don't care how old he is. I feel like that's the guy who will fuck you up. That's why they won't change it to the Beeve.
Jerry Mathers?
Yeah, he played the Beaver. Yeah.
Here's the coolest thing Jerry Mathers ever did.
Okay.
And I don't know if you were a fan of Married with Children.
Yes.
Do you remember when they did the 2-part episode where they move into a grocery store?
Yes, I love that episode.
And they have the grand opening, and Bud and Kelly don't know. Jerry Mathers is a celebrity guy for the opening, which is great that Jerry Mathers would take a role like that. That's so cool that he would make fun of himself.
Yeah.
But Bud and Kelly are trying to figure out who he is. And I don't know if you remember, but Bud goes, "I think he was Opie." And Jerry Mathers says, I am the Beaver. I'm like, oh my God, what an incredibly cool actor to do that.
Yeah. No, he was really cool making fun of himself. I feel like a lot of like you couldn't get like Judd Nelson. I just finally watched Breakfast Club. You couldn't get Judd Nelson to show up and like, I was Bender, damn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like Adam West. Adam West finally embracing Batman and then embracing it on Family Guy. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. It's always better when they're in on the joke, and I feel like it's better off when they're proud of what they're connected to. When you kind of run from it, your career never recovers. You can't run from this shit. You got to embrace it. Like I saw an interview with Matthew Broderick. He's like, I like it when people say, "Hey, Ferris," or something to me. And that's great because he never stopped working and he's evolved. But he knows, like, this is the thing. When they die, it's going to be my tombstone. Ferris Bueller. You know?
It's amazing. You look at like the path, and it's so funny because I'm catching up before I start the new season. I'm rewatching Barry, just because it's been so long.
Yeah.
And you look at like Henry Winkler and how long it took before he was able to come back as something different. And you look at him in Barry, he's fantastic. In Arrested Development, he was fantastic. But how many years was he like? Or Michael Keaton, who amazing actor now. Yeah. You know, how many years did they stay low before they were able to come back?
Yeah, exactly. But then they do come back because, and I think the secret is like not running from your past, not running from that thing you did. And I think eventually you do come back. It takes a while, but you know, especially when you're so ingrained in a role, like, you know. I think Jaleel White, when he hits his 60s, will probably win an Oscar. But it's going to take a while.
See, I don't know if I'm willing to sit for that long, which is why I avoid success now.
Okay, good.
Because I mean, you know.
Yeah, they were like when I was younger, they were like, "Do you want to be in? Do you want to be the lead of Everybody Hates Raymond?" And I'm like, "No, it's okay. Give it to this guy, Ray Romano." You know the big thing with Ray Romano that nobody talks about is no one would let him headline. Caroline said to him, "You're not a headliner." In 1995, then he got the show, and then when they asked him to come back to headline, he said, "You know, suck my dick." But that's the one thing nobody would let him.
I thought with him, Letterman really was the one that kind of gave him the boost.
Letterman was. I think he did the Letterman
which was
show.
Before the show, correct?
Yes, before the show started. Yeah, but he couldn't really. That's why you don't see him at the clubs, because I don't think any club really gave him a shot, like as a headliner. Like, he was supposed to be like a utility guy. He was supposed to be like, you know, a road dog or something. And he was like, "No, I can sell at arenas and shit." Now look at him.
Damn success.
Yeah. So back to the movie. If you haven't seen this movie, it's about the Muppets. They're in college. They have a musical. They take it to Broadway. Everyone rejects them. They get their dreams crushed, and they go become waiters, just like everyone else in New York City.
You know, it's weird though. Like Kermit stays in New York.
Yes, Kermit stays.
And they all say, "Oh no, we're putting too much on him. We're all going to go separate ways, whatever." Right? And Piggy, of course, ends up in New York too. But you look at the jobs they got. Like Rolf is running a kennel.
Yeah.
That just seems wrong. It's kind of like, you know, all those hamburger and cow jokes. I'm like, geez, you know, you got all your buddies locked up in tiny little cages too. I mean, at least make it a nice kennel.
I know he really like betrayed his kind. He was not.
I mean, your species is counting on you.
Yeah, and you're the only dog that can walk and talk and play the piano, and you're using those skills to imprison other dogs.
Did you find it troubling that Fozzie, you know, because they're all off and none of them are doing well on their own. Yeah. You find it troubling that Fozzie has a teddy bear?
I found it troubling he gave up stand-up. He didn't even attempt to keep doing stand-up. He just gave it up.
Well, that's understandable.
Okay, but he was pretty good.
I contemplate that every day.
Far worse than Fonzie. Out there every fucking weekend. I'm like, how's this guy keep getting work? Holy shit. So if they could do it, Fonzie could at least headline the Church of Satire. Let's give him that. I love that place. I love Jim Bryan. But you get my.
I was going to say those guys are awesome, though.
Those guys are.
And this is an incredibly inside joke. If Fozzie did work it, the next time you went, Jim would have a picture of himself dunking on Fozzie in the green room.
That's true. Yeah, he would.
Way too inside a joke. But damn it,
yeah, Fonzie gave up stand-up. Gonzo though kept performing. That was nice. He basically became
and I think Gonzo's gig was pretty accurate. You could totally picture it. But I think the best part of the Gonzo gig, and I didn't look in the credits, and I was trying to guess if it was someone, but the dude driving the boat in a chicken suit. I'm like, that is awesome. You got all these chickens in the back of the boat and a bitter dude in a chicken suit driving.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Can I tell you?
And you know he uses that as a credit anywhere he goes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. He's like, hey, I was the chicken suit guy. Muppets Take Manhattan. Only the fifth biggest Muppet movie of all time. Muppets Treasure Island outroasted. Whatever. Hey, you know what my favorite part of the movie was? And I don't know if you, I really enjoyed this part because it's such an inside New York thing. I'm surprised. The Greek diner owner and his pep talks that make no sense.
Yes.
I love it. When he goes, it just reminded me so much because I grew up with a lot of Greek friends. So much of the nonsense, and you just kind of nod your head like their grandmother would try to say in English, people is people. You know, people is
yes.
I love both those scenes and Kermit's and Miss Piggy's reactions. How great was that?
I love the fact that someone gets offended by the rats waiting tables, so it's better that they're in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's also great. Yes. That's also great.
And really, that Greek dude, he's running this tiny diner with like 3 employees. All of a sudden, he's got room to hire everyone. All of a sudden, he hires like 4 rats and Kermit and then Piggy, but doesn't have room for the penguins. How do you not have room for the penguins?
Well, the rats work cheap. The penguins, they're going to run up the electrical bill because you got to keep the cooler on all night. So because they got to sleep in the cooler. Rats work cheap. You just got to get them like scraps and let them poop in the corner. So
how is anyone there going to that diner? I guess this is before the video of the rat carrying the slice of pizza.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, how does it? Yeah, I go this great little diner. It's this guy and his daughter and a bunch of rats. It's fucking great. He gives you free soup if you don't have any money.
He talks tough, but he's got a heart full of soup.
Yeah, I thought he was one of my favorite touches. That was such like you said, inside baseball of New York, and such a very specific, almost like Queens thing. But I loved it. I wonder if any of my Greek friends have watched that because it's so like their parents and their grandparents.
I like that when they were choosing like the different jobs and for depressing, and this kind of hit home with me because I spent so much time there, but they sent Scooter to Cleveland. Oh, oh man, even the Muppets are taking shots at Cleveland. And then in this theater, Swedish chef is running concessions, which explains why the price of like popcorn is so damn high.
Yeah.
It's Swedish popcorn. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a delicacy. Yeah.
But I didn't realize Attack of the Killer Fish was kind of like a Rocky Horror thing where you throw things.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the poster in the background. What do you think of celebrity cameos? My favorite, because I think like they basically just broke character and they just kept the cameras rolling, was Joan Rivers. That felt like
You're right.
Kinda,
I didn't think about that.
They kind of cracked and they just didn't yell cut. They just let it keep going. Because
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very ballsy to keep in the movie, but it was like, this is kind of the spirit of the Muppets. I kind of loved it.
Wow. I'm really embarrassed that I missed that because I just sat there enjoying it.
Yeah, no,
I was enjoying it and thinking if Piggy says something funny, Joan's going to pay her $25 for the joke.
Well, she probably did. She probably paid all of them. Jim Henson. I also really enjoyed Gregory Hines, who I always forget passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another guy that I didn't appreciate when I was a kid, but his little cameo was great. When they're
anytime I see him, I think about him. I think he's going to tap dance.
Yes, me too. I thought he was going to break it in Central Park.
Yeah, maybe tap his way out. He is great during their argument, though.
Yeah, he's great.
That is like the coolest Gregory Hines I can remember.
Yes,
because he really seemed more like himself. It was very cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was
Linda
great to see her.
Lavin. How about Linda Lavin? Linda Lavin looked good, but I forget like this was so long. Yeah, she was actually really cool. And what did she say? You're gonna die, or what was this stupid? She said some line that was just, you're never gonna get your memory back, or something like that.
Oh, that's right.
So we'll just give you some nice clothes, send you on your way.
Here's the other thing. So you get a humanoid frog at your hospital, which I assume doesn't happen a lot, but who knows? It's New York, and he doesn't have amnesia. Then just put him on the news. People are gonna know. Like his friends are gonna know. Like. Everyone know, that's the humanoid frog from our neighborhood, Kermit. Like, yeah, bring him over here.
That's part of the fun. Well, I mean, that's the fun of the whole Muppet thing is they interact with humans. They're usually the only ones, and it's just so matter of fact.
Yeah, that's that.
Like, yeah. And then to flip it, all of a sudden, I don't know if there's like a frog underworld, but then he falls into a frog advertising agency. Yeah, everyone's humans except his group putting on a musical and the advertising agency.
Yeah. There was like this. All of a sudden, there were all these frogs that we never knew existed, and they work as ad executives. And then he basically became Gordon Gekko for a little bit, Kermit. Exactly. I thought he was going to start bagging the females
with Bill, Gil, and Jill, which I thought was a great touch.
How about the flirtation between him and the human waitress? I kept waiting for I kept waiting for a male to show up and be her love interest, but she doesn't get one. She just kind of hangs around Kermit and her dad.
Oh, how great would that have been to have like a jealous dude?
Yeah, like what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, good call. How did we miss that? Who would have been a great jealous dude cameo?
She's young. I would say Emilio Estevez or Charlie Sheen. Had it pop up.
You know who the first one came to mind, and this is so stereotype. What's his name? William begins with a Z. The dude from Karate Kid.
Oh yes, I don't think he was big yet.
Zabka.
Karate Kid. So they would have been like, "Who's this?" But I think Emilio Estevez was already kind of, or Tom Cruise at that point.
That's right.
Yeah,
but he was too pretty boy to play an evil guy. Or like
he could have been like, "What are you doing talking to my?" I mean, he's the same guy as
you need
Muppets.
A jerk guy for that.
Yeah. I liked Art Carney. It was great seeing him in the movie.
Brooke Shields with a little spot there.
Yeah, she looked great.
It's like, oh yeah, Brooke Shields was really pretty. Now it's so funny because when she became really big, I was of age, and I'm like, she's pretty, but she's not like overly. And then you get older and she's like, and then you see that and you're like, oh man, I missed out. Not that she would have ever talked to me, but
I know. Well, she was waiting. She was like, if only Bill Boronkay would call me.
For a short time, I did date this one girl that did some like low-level modeling stuff, and everyone thought she looked like Brooke Shields.
I thought you were about
and
to
I
tell
screwed
me
that up.
I thought you were about to tell me you dated a cast member with Suddenly Susan or something. The way you did, the way you led that off, because there was a blonde on that show.
It was all about Kathy Griffin. I was playing the long game.
Well, no, there was a blonde in that show that was just as hot as Brooke Shields. No one ever talks about. And
wait a minute, was it Vicki Lewis? Was she in that?
No, what was the blonde on?
Okay, because I actually went to school with her sister, which I didn't know.
Oh wow,
her sister.
So you have a lot of connections to this show.
Who was very hot.
Yeah, hold
now
on.
I sound like a creep. She's a really cool person. That was really creepy.
No, it's okay.
I don't want to. Well,
creepy. It's a Disney podcast, so.
I know, but I only want to be creepy in the correct spots.
You don't want to be creepy. Hold on,
by the way, while you're looking that up,
Elizabeth Matthews.
What's that?
Elizabeth Matthews.
Oh, I don't remember her.
Yeah,
I didn't really watch the show much.
Yeah, me neither.
I really am a huge fan of Electric Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
And it really hurt me that they were doing polka in Pittsburgh. It's like, oh man, you guys are cold.
That was rough. Now, by the way, I don't know if you had seen Great Muppet Caper. I don't know when the last time you saw it, but they continue a running joke from that movie, and I'm curious if it happens in Muppet Christmas Carol, because I haven't seen it. But Janice, when everyone's talking, they all quiet. She's on the phone. I told my mom I told them I'm not going to be naked no matter what it's for, artistic purposes.
No. Oh, that's, by the way, in the series that they brought back in 2015, she was hysterical with it.
Oh, what is
she got a little bit bigger. She got a little bit more speaking stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, she was cool. The whole band is cool.
Yeah. That's the cool thing is like, they don't it's for kids, but at least from that era, they don't shy away from adult things. Like her being like, this dude want me to get naked for artistic purposes. I'm like, no, wait a minute. That's a thing a lot of hippie girls went through in the early 70s. I mean, late 70s, early 80s. Like that's kind of funny. That's like a you can kind of tell the subject because she like does drugs. She's kind of like a hippie. But the fact that they just have it there, like if you're an adult, you're like, oh, I get it. But if you're a kid, you're like, that's funny. It's really fun. That character is really fun.
Yeah, that's part of the brilliance of the Muppets. You know?
Yeah, no. What did you think? And I remember this is the film's biggest legacy. And I was very impressed with the puppets, seeing them in live action. The Muppet Baby sequence.
I am not a fan of the Muppet Babies, and I guess this is where they were born, right? This was their first thing. Scene. Yeah. And I know, like, and I was reading about it, and they're like, oh, this is where it started. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't like kids a whole lot, so maybe that's it.
Well, I used to watch that cartoon on CBS, and they don't air that cartoon anymore because the cartoon used to. Did you ever watch that cartoon or no?
No, I was older by then. So.
Okay, so
I was old and bitter already.
Oh, okay, you were already like, fuck the world. All right. Well, the cartoon was live action and cartoon, so they would take like scenes from movies and put the cartoon Muppets in them. And they don't have the rights to that. Oh. That's why you don't see the cartoon anymore. But that was a good cartoon. Like,
oh, that's a cool idea. Mm-hmm. So they would basically do the scene of a movie?
Yeah, like they would have Kermit interact with Harrison Ford and Raise Little Stark. I remember that. And they would have they had like some classic silent film footage in one episode. It was really like a weird show. So it was animated in live action, but they don't have the rights to that footage anymore. So we can't see the show. And now the version they have on Disney Plus is a big piece of the show's not made for kids. Are so dumb. So fucking no wonder half these kids are mentally ill by the time they hit 15. Like it's just
because the source is they don't get enough quality Muppets, and that's what drives them to all sorts of adult issues.
Yes. If they had our Muppet babies, they'd be kicking ass like me doing Muppet podcasts with you on a Wednesday afternoon.
Hey, I don't know if you found this troubling, and maybe I'm wrong because I haven't done the touristy thing, but when they go to the observation deck, to check out New York or whatever, they don't have hardly any money. Don't you have to pay to go up the observation deck or no?
I don't know what it is now, but I remember it used to be donation if you want it, but it was strongly encouraged. So like you could be a cheap bastard and not put any money. But like they,
So
it
11
frowned
Muppets could go up for free.
Yeah,
So.
if they wanted to, yeah. So they're mooching. Those Muppets always mooching off people. But yeah, the Muppet Baby sequence. It was exciting to see them in live action because it's been so long for me. What was your favorite song in the movie?
I don't know. I don't like musicals. Even with
Okay.
Muppets, I don't like musicals.
All right. Just
So,
period. Muppets, humans, animated.
I will say this. It's kind of weird because in high school, I was right borderline, barely on the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, and all the good athletes were in my class. I was a junior. I didn't make it freshman, sophomore. And so I'm like, even if I make it senior year, I'm not gonna play. It's gonna be a waste. I want to do spring break, whatever. So I don't go out for baseball. And then a bunch of us just decide to go out for musical. And we got a lot of roles. And it was Guys and Dolls. And maybe this is where it all stems. I made the first cut. And then they bring me back for the second audition for this role I really wanted. And I sang my way into a speaking role. And that is not a lie. They do the sight reading thing and I butchered it. And it's like, all right, maybe that's the beginning of my hatred for all things musical.
Wow. See, this sounds like the start of a musical. You learn to love music again.
Had I just had quality Muppet Babies when I was a kid.
Yeah, it might have changed everything.
It might have changed my world.
Did
you have a favorite song
from this movie?
Yeah.
I like the last song, and I'll tell you why. It was nice seeing the Sesame Street characters, and I think that's why I liked them as a kid. With the Muppets, the Sesame Street characters are now owned by HBO. Muppets are owned by Disney. They're never going to be together again. To me, Muppets and Sesame Street were one and the same when I was a baby. So it was nice to see them all together at a wedding. I don't know.
I always thought they were kind of one and the same.
Yeah, I don't see the separation. I still think they're one and the same.
And then, because Disney bought Fox too.
Yes.
Or something. But I just kept thinking when they showed Bert and Ernie, all I could think of was like Tucker Carlson blowing a fuse about indoctrinating kids. Mm-hmm. And then Big Bird. And then I noticed, and maybe it was pre-Elmo, but I'm like, was Elmo in jail?
No, Elmo. This is before Elmo blew up.
But it was cool to see the shots. And then you see Big Bird in the back because he just kind of stands like Big Bird. I remember him.
Yeah, and the Sesame Street characters, they make cameos in the other two Muppet films that I watched previous. And it was nice to always see them kind of like, hey, we're part of the family too, but this is more adult, but we're still here. And I really do feel like, to me, Cookie Monster, Gonzo, Fozzie Bear, they're all bros. They all get drunk on the weekend.
That's what I would think.
I don't like
how
the
do you
separation.
Not break? You get together and you break Cookie. Is that what the thing is?
Yes, that's what I think. The one scene that was very kind of dark, doesn't hold up, and I'll tell you why, is the scene with Ed Koch. Because I recently read a book. You ever read the book And the Band Played On?
No.
Okay. Well, basically, Ed Koch he seeked this stuff out. So, like, the reason why he's in so many movies in the 80s is or so many TV shows, he would actually call and be like, oh, can I be a cameo? He wanted.
Really?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that.
In the book, a lot of gay guys are dying of AIDS in the village, and they're trying to get a meeting with him. And I think there's a mention that he blows them off to go see the Muppets. So there's a bunch of guys sitting with AIDS, waiting to talk to Ed Koch about how they're going to stop the spread of AIDS. And he's filming this thing with the Muppets.
Well, couldn't you fit them both in? Come on.
I think there should have been a meeting with the Muppets, the guys from the village.
Yeah, exactly.
The AIDS patients, Ed Koch.
The Muppets, the musical, is to help raise money for AIDS research. Come on, people. We can tie it all together.
Instead, he blew them off, and look at Magic Johnson now has got AIDS for 30 years. This fucking shitty mayor we had. I just find it funny.
Do you think Magic Johnson has mixed feelings on the Muppets?
I think yeah. I mean, I had
He's
mixed
got
feelings.
Kermit
I was
on a
loving the
dartboard.
movie, and then I got to that scene, and I'm picturing these activists with like lesions all over their bodies sitting in that office, and he's like, "Let's do another take with Kermit."
I'm waiting for that to be addressed. I'm still on the first episode because I haven't had a chance to watch it, but the Magic Johnson's documentary. Maybe
Oh, I
they'll
haven't
pull
seen.
that
I don't
in.
have
Like,
it Plus.
yeah,
Is
maybe
it
they'll
good?
have that. I just started watching it and I was really tired, so I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
So,
I want to watch Winning Time, but I heard they just make everything up.
oh,
And
it's just a soap opera.
yeah,
Um,
I kind of get annoyed when they do that with real people. And here's the other thing, too. If you're gonna make things up, really make it up. So, like, if I was behind Winning Time, Magic Johnson would fight zombies after a game. Like, I would just completely go insane because, all right, this
well,
is
but
already
there's still
not
some
based in
episodes
reality.
left. He can
What?
fight zombies. There's still a few episodes left.
Yeah, have Kobe Bryant come through a portal. Like, he didn't die; he got sent back through time to fight Terminators. Like, just.
I know they're trying to capture somewhat stuff,
Mhm.
but I'm like, when I see John C. Riley, I'm like, could you button just at least one more button up on that shirt? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just so gross. But,
There's this weird thing where they kind of treat the early 80s in TV shows and movies like it's the late 70s. And it's like, no, things were kind of like,
right.
it wasn't
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. Yeah, just
It
when
is funny because
sorry, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I got into Winning Time early and I've
Mhm.
still seen all the episodes, but I'm starting to just get bored with it.
Yeah. Because you're a big
and
sport.
it's,
You were a sportscaster, so you're a big sportscaster.
I was and I was also a huge Laker fan. I mean, I love Magic Johnson was my favorite player because I just loved the way he played. It wasn't people like your bandwagon. I'm like, no, when he played when he was young, before he got older,
Yeah.
he would like be laughing and smiling and just fun. He looked like he was having fun, kind of like when you can tell when a comedian's enjoying his set.
Yeah.
Same thing. He looks like he's enjoying himself and he's not bitching with the refs after every whistle, which he did later in his career, like all players do. And it was just, and plus the way they played was just fun to watch. So yeah, I'm like, oh, this will be cool. And it's like, it's a soap opera.
Yeah.
And
That's
they make Jerry West, that's the big thing. They make Jerry West look like this maniacal asshole. And every account of Jerry West is he's the greatest dude in the world.
Yeah, it's just like when you do stuff like that, it's like I don't want to watch your show because you might as well just have made up a fictional team like they did in Semi-Pro, which I like that movie. I don't know if you ever saw that with Will Ferrell about the ABA.
Yes, I loved that stupid movie.
Yeah, I really like that movie, but like, all right, I know it's kind of based in reality, but not really. So I just go along with the ride. But if Will Ferrell was playing like fucking Larry Bird and doing all that goofy shit, I wouldn't.
Oh, and they
watch
make
it.
Larry Bird out to be like this. I mean, Larry didn't like magic at first, but they make him out like this hostile dude, and that's not what he was. And again, there's no need. Why do you have to trash Jerry West?
Yeah,
It's just like, what's the point?
It's weird.
But whatever.
I have an idea because after I saw Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, and now this Elvis movie also looks like complete fantasy bullshit. But I want to make a movie about air supply and make it the falsest movie possible. Like they fight aliens, they go back in time, and they actually won the Civil War. They brought world peace. They found Osama bin Laden. I want to make the most ridiculous false movie about air supply, and end the movie with them like, breaking the Israel-Palestine barriers. Just do completely insane movie full of lies about air supply. That's
but the soundtrack has to be all air supply music.
Oh yeah, it's them like still coming up, but like between every song, they're like doing something insanely incredible. Like they're just the greatest guys in the world.
Okay, you put that out, and then I'm going to do a spin-off rip-off movie with the same kind of thing, except with Milli Vanilli, and then people won't know if it's real or not.
There you go.
They'll be questioning the whole time. Did Milli Vanilli really catch Bin Laden?
I think they did. It was all a covert art. They were CIA covert guys. That was the lip syncing scandal. Was all a setup to get Osama bin Laden.
Kind of like Chuck Barris. Was he CIA or FBI? I can't remember. Which is a reference way
CIA.
before your time.
Okay. Yeah, he claimed he was CIA.
If there was one Muppet from this movie that was CIA, who would you have it be?
Probably Scooter, because why is he in Cleveland of all places? Maybe he's trying to, bust a drug ring or something.
And I don't remember, how did he get that bike in New York? I don't remember him bringing the bike to New York, but in New York he had the bike.
Well, maybe they already had the city bike rentals back then, just for Muppets. I don't know.
In 84 or 85.
84. If you're a Muppet, you can do the city bike program, but We don't have it for anyone else. All in all, though, I didn't like this as much as I remember loving this as a little baby, but I was a little baby. I didn't like this as much as Great Muppet Caper or the original Muppet movie, but I thought it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I was in my mind, and again, I haven't seen it in forever. I kept comparing it to the original movie, which I loved. I absolutely loved. And so it's like, well, yeah, but like what sequel ever lives?
Yeah,
to it, you know.
And I thought it was a pretty fun look at New York. I thought the celebrity cameos were cute. They, they could tell like the first one is a lot of A-list celebrities. I mean, just the creme de la creme. The second one, okay, it's English celebrities. This one, it's like, all right, we got Mayor Koch and AIDS victims. All right, here we go.
Even in the 80s, it was easy to get Elliot Gould.
Yeah, Elliot Gould has 2 lines in this movie. Yeah.
He does a cameo in everything.
Yeah, well, he was great. He was great as no, he was a cop. I thought he was a cop. He had a great little scene. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's on HBO Max because for some reason Disney doesn't have the rights to this movie, even though they. I think it's because the Sesame Street characters are in so prominently. They don't have the rights. That's what I. Maybe
they were so prominently at the end for a minute 20 and a half, seconds, if that. Yeah, if that. Yeah, but I did feel like, to me, this kind of felt like this was the last movie they made under Jim Henson. And if you said to me, could this be the last Muppet movie ever? I'd be like, yes. The ending is perfect. All the Muppets are together. Kermit and Miss Piggy are finally getting married. They're gonna have unholy pig frog babies. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great way. You know what? I think you left a little opening there because Piggy and Kermit are married by a real priest, but it's also during a production. So is it real?
That's true. Yeah. And we never.
So Kermit I think Kermit has a way out.
Kermit never flat out says he doesn't want to fuck Jenny. So he never says like, I'm not.
No, never does. She's my friend.
Kind of leaves it vaguely open. I would bang Jenny back then. I don't know what's going on with her now. I mean, clearly nothing went on with her ever.
I don't know. She may have run off with a rat.
That's most women. So, Bill, where can people find you on social media and on the road? This comes out on Friday.
It's my name on all the social media, Twitter, which who knows how much longer I'm going to play with Twitter.
Yeah, with Elon
Facebook, Musk. Which I always say I'm going to get off, but that's where I can reach the most people still. Instagram. I'm kicking myself to do TikTok, but I haven't done it yet.
Same here.
Because I'm always like right on the edge of new things. I'll probably get on right when it's dying, like Clubhouse, but
or Twitter right now. Can I tell you?
There's the website, BillBoronkay.com. Blah blah blah. So
can I tell you? I'm ecstatic that Elon Musk bought Twitter, because if this means the end of Twitter as the primary thing that we fucking use, I'm gonna be ecstatic. This is the best. I don't care what everyone says. This is the best news we could have gotten, because so many people who make Twitter, and a lot of people in the industry sit on Twitter, a lot of like social activists, if they flee Twitter because of this guy, fucking great. I hate Twitter.
Well, I think the stupid thing is, and everyone keeps getting all worked up about it, is I hate to sound like an adult, but we really take social media way too seriously. Yeah, and if you weren't doing comedy, how much would you really use social media? I wouldn't very much at all.
Yeah, I have a theory. No one normal is actually on Twitter. It's just celebrities, people trying to become famous, or very deeply troubled people. On both liberals and Republicans. Yeah. I don't know anyone in my life that has a real job, has kids, and I don't mean to disparage what we do, but like a 9-to-5 job, who has kids, who has a wife, that is ever on Twitter. No one's on Twitter that has a real life in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is, social media is such an amazing tool, but like anything, like when people bitch about technology and bitch about phones, it's like, it's not that. It's the way people use it. It's society's fault. The fact that you have a computer in your hand is incredible. Mm-hmm. Now, because people use it wrong, don't blame Apple. Yeah, that's because people are weak.
You can at this moment download millions, if not billions, of amazing books from the last 300 years and read them on your phone or your tablet. That's what I've been doing. That's how I read now.
Amazing.
And I've read some incredible books that are just delivered. So it's not how long you stare at your screen, it's what you're staring at. Absolutely correct.
And again, I think that's probably the last part. We should sound like adults.
Yeah. Well, okay. So to not sound like adults, fuck bitches. There we go.
There you go. See
And
Ray
Bill, where
at
you
Barstool
playing
Sports.
next few weeks? Where you gonna be?
Where am I going? I've got a couple things in Ohio this coming weekend, and then I'm off to just outside Chicago, CG's Comedy Club next weekend, and then resort in Michigan, and then coming back to the Comedy Cabaret next the following weekend. Blah blah blah.
No,
my
you're all
girlfriend
over the
doesn't even
place.
look at my schedule. So,
You're more
what about
places
you?
than-
Where are you, man?
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be where am I gonna be? I'm gonna be in Astoria tonight, and then some guy Stoop
Attaboy.
show. What?
Attaboy. What was this show?
Some guy Stoop show. I'm not making it up. I was
Nice.
showing a Stoop Friday. But then I'm gonna be on the road. I forget where I'm going. I think I'm going upstate New York next weekend, and I'm doing
Cool.
2 shows at the Stand on Thursday, the 5th. I'm gonna go see Doctor Strange. 2 shows at the Stand. Who's better than the?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So and then I got the Hartford Funny Bone in May. I'm doing my month.
Oh, nice.
Show. Have you been there?
I love Frederick. I haven't. We always talk about getting a date, and we haven't done it probably because I have like 23 followers.
Okay.
But yeah, I got to get back up there. I love
Dude,
him.
he's
Such a smart ass. I love him.
But he's also, I think, he's my favorite comedy booker that I've ever met. He's just such a great guy.
Well, I also respect the fact that he actually goes and looks for new talent.
Yes,
He
goes to
will
New York
actually like,
and
hey,
finds
I'm in New York looking, and it's like that's cool. I mean, sure, you could book me, you know me, but yeah, he's a good dude, man.
He's a great dude. I really enjoy working with him, and yeah, shout out to Frederick. But guys, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Next week we're doing the Muppets Christmas Carol. It's Christmas in May. God damn it!
You're like Hallmark.
Yeah, I'm like Hallmark. It's Christmas all the time. But also follow me, Ray Gootz, on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the podcast on Instagram, Gootz Is Any Pod. And yeah, subscribe. We need all the subscriptions we can get.
Yeah.
And we got a couple more weeks of Muppets, and then I think I'm going to go to the Pirates of the Caribbean because the Johnny Depp thing is fascinating. So I think that might be my next journey.
That or Nemo? Isn't Nemo Disney?
I did find Nemo.
Ah, damn you. Yeah, it makes sense.
But I want to do. I think I'm going to do a season based on Pirates of the Caribbean because
cool.
Since he's in the news and you'll never work with them ever again. Be nice to look back on those movies with comedians. Who knows what comedians? I don't know.
Yes.
Margaret Gadana sitting in pencil. I'll put a pirate hat on. Bill, thank you so much for doing this episode, man. This is fucking great.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks for you're a ball, man. We need to get together at some point.
Yeah,
we never do, but we need to. But I appreciate it, and I'm so jealous of your dogs.
Oh, thank you, man. I know they were all over the podcast. All right, guys, we'll see you next week for the Muppet Christmas Carol with the great Michael Caine and some comedian. I don't know who. I'll find someone. All right, guys, thank you.